Welcome back to the Chamber Podcast. My name is Rob Johnson. We have another great show for you today. Joining me in studio is Steve Grech. He's the CEO at LOC Credit Union. And Stephanie Hamlin. She is the Community Impact Manager. Welcome.
Great to be here. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you guys in. So I remember when the LOC Credit Union went up in Brighton. It was a couple of years back. So we're recording this. This is the first show of 2026. And it was 24. Is that right?
June of 24.
June of 24. So relatively new to me because that was my first exposure to the brand. So, Steve is the CEO. Just kind of walk me through the history of LOC.
Yeah, well, the credit union just celebrated its 90th anniversary. We're proud of that. And then specifically here in Livingston County, we've been here 50 years, starting with Howell in 1976. And then we opened Heartland in 2007. More to come on the Heartland branch, and then the Brighton branch 2004.
Yeah. And then you took over in 2020 as CEO?
I did. Interesting story. I started in February of 2020. About a month later, something called COVID it happened. So it was a real interesting way to get to know your staff when most of them weren't on site.
Did the board of directors try and blame it on you? Because we just hired this guy and look what happened.
Yeah, really. No, in a twisted kind of way, it all worked out. I wouldn't want to relive that.
Sure.
But it worked out really well. And we had to go into a different mode of management right out of the gate.
For sure.
So we it was a good test of the organization's mettle. And then I think we did okay.
I think we did pretty good.
Yeah. And then, Stephanie, when did you come into the picture at LOC?
I started in January of 2017. So I've always been in the community impact department, handling financial education, community outreach, sponsorships, things like that. So I'm well acquainted with how we operate and function and how we have changed over the years and improved under Steve's guidance and made strides in getting further into the community and making sure that we're giving valuable feedback and impact to where we are.
Yeah, that's great. And as a credit union, obviously there's a lot of things you can do, and I know a lot of credit unions and just financial institutions in general try and be all things to all people. We were talking in the pre-show about how you guys really understand what you're successful at, what you stay in your lane on. So just kind of walk me through kind of the mission and impact of what LOC seeks to do.
Yeah, it's really simple. We know who we are. We know who we want to be, and we stay in that lane, as you said. There's not a right or wrong business model. Some organizations choose to be the supermarkets. We choose to decide, no, this is what we're all about, and we're going to really focus in on these things and be good at it. New and used car loans, it's not real sexy or glamorous, but you need a ride to work.
Sure.
So it's a real relevant product that we really try and sharpen our pencil on rates and be very affordable. Home equity lending, we had a record year last year in home equities. We did over $40 million, which shattered our previous record. And, those help finance those big projects around the home. A lot of people, because of the way the real estate market is with rates and so forth, they're not moving, so they're improving what they have. So that's a very relevant product for us. And then, checking accounts, which really are payment accounts nowadays. Checks are becoming more and more obsolete. So just the basic things, good payment products, good consumer loan products, and then certainly first mortgages as the market dictates. That's what we believe we're pretty good at.
In a market that's saturated with financial institutions, how do you separate yourself? What's a differentiator that, when people are making a consideration that you can say, this is really what makes us different?
Yeah, it's hard. We actually operate in a very commoditized industry.
Yeah.
It's really hard to differentiate yourself when it comes to a home equity loan or a car loan. But there are some things you can do, and I think we do it quite well. I'll give you an example. In home equity lending, we don't price based on somebody's FICO score. We actually price it based on their lien position. Is it a first lien? Is it a second lien? What's their loan to value? In other words, what are they borrowing in relation to the value of their home? If those numbers are at a certain threshold, you get the best rate, even if maybe your FICO score is a B or a C. So those are the kind of things you can do to separate. And then, of course, service. We take a lot of pride in our service quality. We've got the Google reviews to validate that. So we're really proud of that. And those are the things that can kind of separate you from the rest.
I will say, in being that I'm typically in the marketing seat for a lot of companies, I was researching you guys before we did this interview, and that was one thing that stood out to me is how many Google reviews you have compared to other financial institutions. And I know a lot of people don't prioritize that because in banking, they think it's all relational and not very many people are coming in through Google. That is not true. A lot of people do search new banks online and research reviews, and the first place they go to 90% of the time is Google. So that stood out to me, that not just a location, but all of your locations have, dozens of reviews, and it's well over, I think, 4.8, or better for each of the reviews, which is pretty remarkable.
And I think those reviews, then they also transcend like the brick and mortar human interaction, but also then they reflect how well are you serving your digital membership, which is a huge number. We have a very robust digital banking platform, one of the best that's out there. We've invested heavily in that, so we know it's brick and mortar, it's digital, and it's people, being collaborative with each other.
Yeah, and that's a big selling point too, and I'm sure, Stephanie, you being in the community, and that's kind of your main role, is people want to bank with people that they have a relationship with, that they know, and that's a very old school tactic that banking was built on. It's like, oh, I have a banker, I have a guy or a girl or someone that I go and see for this. And at some point we shifted online, and it's kind of, next man up at the teller counter, and, everyone's a number, not a name. And shifting back to that, I think people have seen a lot of success with, more personalized banking.
Well, even for me, when I go into the schools, I'm reaching students 5 and through senior and high school. And if they see me in a building and then they see me in a branch or even out in the community, they're going to be like, hey, I know you. I have a relationship with you outside of that building that builds that trust. So when they come in, even if I'm not the one servicing their loan or their account, they can say, I have this relationship with you. So, hey, I might not need to talk to this specific person, but maybe Stephanie could direct me in the right position. That way I don't have to search for anything. I have a point of contact, which is very rare. I feel like a lot of people are just searching the internet for information. But if they have one person they know can get them to that answer as quick as possible, it makes that relationship even better, whether it's a middle schooler, a high schooler, or their parents. It just builds a foundation to not only educate them in the financial realm, but also community and with LOC, like building the relationship that hopefully will carry them past high school, past college. That way they keep staying with us and staying within the community they're in, even if they move far away. That's where our digital banking makes it much easier, but they still have that personal relationship for the people who are still there.
And Steve, have you seen that same trend where, being in the banking industry as long as you've been in, where it has shifted to more digital, now it's starting to shift back to more personal? Have you seen that same trend?
It's really, if you look at people's banking habits, digital's our biggest branch. It really is. You can make your loan payment, you can move money at 12 o'clock at night in your pajamas, right? And people's time is so precious that channel is just growing and growing.
Yeah. And then, Stephanie, in the pre-show, we were talking a little bit about your involvement in the schools and financial literacy. What does it look like, from a program perspective for LOC to be in the schools and kind of part of your role?
So we have a variety of things when it comes to our community impact and our financial education, especially in our school partnerships. So our partnerships are with Brighton, Howell, Heartland, and Farmington. We do things in South Lyon as well. But in the Howell and Heartland schools, we do student-run credit unions where we have students actually process transactions within their school. So we go once a month to that school, kids bring deposits, they get receipts, they play games, they get prizes, that positive reinforcement for saving that money so that hopefully that continues as they get older. Even if they are a spender, they're still getting a reward for saving. And then when we do our classroom experiences, that's related to what they Michigan state standards for education. We try and fill in gaps that they might not already have filled. So for example, if we're in a middle school, we're talking about inflation, we're talking about grocery prices, but we're interactive. Kids are playing games while getting an education and taking things away from that. So we might do 3 visits, and each time it builds upon the next. Our elementary programs, again, are focused on things as basic as needs and wants. Anybody can participate in those who contact us and want to schedule one. They're usually about an hour long for any grade level. At our high school level, this is something we have done for about the last 10 years are our teen financial reality fairs. So students who are usually juniors and seniors in the personal finance realm get to choose a career, they get assigned a salary, and then they literally walk through for an hour spending their money trying to stay positive in what we call their first month of life. So they're purchasing furniture, a vehicle, and getting that experience so that maybe they have a little bit to grasp when they walk out on their own, or mom and dad are trying to walk them through their first time doing their taxes or whatever it might be. So really trying to give them a background that they can build off of in the amount of time we have with them.
Yeah, I'd love to see the spending habits of
It's
elementary
fun.
school
I
students.
have one in Brighton on Monday. Come on down.
That'd be great. Just be like, I know,
It's a
listen,
good
I can
time.
make the Ferrari payment. It
Yes.
says right here.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, what about your house? Who cares? I can live in the car.
Usually a big one is, I'll get the house. I don't need the furniture. I'll sleep on the floor. I was like, nope, you got to buy the furniture.
I'm embracing minimalism.
Right. Yeah.
That's great. So obviously, as we're sitting here, it's 2026, start of a new year. What is on the docket for the new year in 2026 for LOC?
Yeah, the big thing is our Heartland branch, which is a leased facility that we've leased since 2007. It's on M59, right behind the big speedway that they built that kind of covered us up as people drove by. So we're actually moving from that location to a standalone with drive-through just a little further west on M59 and right in front of Target. So we plan to break ground as the ground thaws, and then hope to be open by the end of the year.
So sometime between March and June is when that groundbreaking is going to happen, depending on how the winter goes.
Right. We also have we have actually 6 branches, and there's another branch in the Dearborn locale that we're going to be relocating in the spring. That'll be a leased facility. So those are the 2 big things, and then a lot more of the same. Just offering really good car and loan rates. Being there for folks with the home equity lending and always offering promos and specials and things like that.
Love that. Stephanie, what about for you?
So lots of financial education. We're booked basically through the end of the school year. So when we consider our financial education sector of our department, we go September to June. So we're pretty solidly booked K through 12 through the end of the school year. And then community-wise, we just participated in the Brighton Holiday Glow. We did the Tunnel of Lights for downtown, which sadly will be coming down soon, but it's been enjoyable while it lasts. And then we are part of the Brighton Farmers Market for the Flower Day. So last year we did the bouquet building. This year we'll be doing something similar along with the chamber. So we'll be out there helping kids and families have a free takeaway for that day. We also are volunteering a lot with Brighton community events. Our big sponsorships during the school year are also our athletic sponsorships for Howell, Heartland, and Brighton. So, come out, see, we're there on occasion. I'm there quite often. So our sponsorship's there. And then we do a lot with Bountiful Harvest. We try and volunteer at least a couple times a year. We did a pretty significant donation when we opened our Brighton branch, so we continue that partnership. We also plan on, we were a drop-off location for the backpack drive for Livingston County United Way. So planning on doing that again this year, as well as volunteering to pack the backpacks and distribute them come August.
Great.
So it's a busy year.
Yeah. And it's just getting started.
Right?
So. Okay. Is there anything else before we close that you want prospective members or just people to know about LOC as they're considering banking for whether it's personal or business? Most people that watch this show have a business. They're obviously associated with one. So is there anything you want to leave listeners with?
One thing that I want to mention, I know it's something we're going to kick off in about a month or two, and that is a lending wider and a lending deeper program. Obviously, when you're a financial institution, you need to be prudent and be responsible with your members' assets, and sometimes there's a tendency to be a little rigid with approving loans. We think with the home equity program that I mentioned earlier, where we don't look at FICO score, that's a big step in lending wider and deeper to helping more people. But on the car program, like on the car loan program, on new and used cars, and we know how expensive they are these days. There's a lot of people that are getting shut out of that market. So we're going to implement an initiative that just allows us to lend a little deeper and a little wider and help more people. So that's coming soon.
Great. Stephanie, anything for you before we close?
I would just say, for fellow business purposes, if you have education you want to provide to your staff or even to your customers in relation to budgeting, financial, not financial planning as in investing, but getting your ducks in a row, whether it's for your staff learning, hey, maybe you have a younger staff and they need to learn how to allocate their paycheck or where their taxes are going. Reach out to us. We do have adult programs, lunch and learns, things like that we can offer to other businesses where we can come visit your business, work with your staff, and then build that relationship with you as well.
I love that. And I will say we've had a financial program for our employees for the last 5 years, and having something like that in a business is so underrated. When people are better financially at home, they show up better at work. And that's something I don't know that a lot of entrepreneurs think about. Right. So definitely people should take you up on that, no doubt. So, well, thank you both for making time to come into the studio. I certainly appreciate it.
Yeah,
thank you,
awesome.
Rob.
All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up this week's edition of the Chamber Podcast. I certainly appreciate you watching. If you want to know more about LOC, you can check out their information in the show notes. Apart from that, we'll catch you next week with a new one. Take care.